Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So, let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. If you've just discovered the podcast, hello. This is a place where we talk anything and everything single parenting. We have got you covered from dating, loneliness, co-parenting, and all the crazy stuff in between. So if you've just discovered us, check out all the other episodes. We are here to help you get through this crazy journey of co-parenting and actually learn to love where you're at as a single parent. But for today's topic, we're going to talk about boundaries. How do you set them? How do you know what you want? And why do we need them? Why do we need boundaries? Well, boundaries are so important in not just your dating life, but in all areas of your life, with your family, with friends, with work, in any situation where you feel like someone's taking advantage of you or not, they don't have your best interests at heart. This is where it's important to have boundaries and just say, no, that's not okay. And boundaries is not about being high maintenance. It's not about being hard work. It's not about being a nasty person. It's about learning to prioritize you, getting your self-worth back, and doing things that are aligned with what you want. And you're not doing it just to make other people happy. You're not doing things for your kids because you just don't want to deal with the arguing, or you don't want to deal with the whinging later. You're not doing things for your boss and staying back later because you just feel like you have to and you're too scared to say anything. You're not dating random people all the time because you don't know how to say, well, you're not for me. I'm not vibing with this. So boundaries are just important in every single area of your life. And I have noticed recently that people can get intimidated or triggered by other people who do have boundaries. Now, usually those are the people that don't. They go into relationships and into situations in life not knowing what they want. They just hope for the best and hope that it's going to work out. There is nothing intimidating about knowing what you want in life. There is nothing wrong with saying, no, that's not for me, sorry. That's a good quality to have. So don't be put off by someone that is scared by the fact that you know what you want. And in saying that, it's a lot more common these days to see women really put themselves out there and say, okay, well, this is what I want, and that's what I don't want. They're really putting it out there of what their expectations are when going into the dating world. Now, I'm not saying men are not doing this, but it's becoming a lot more seen and a lot more frequent with women, because gone are the days where women are just standing behind kitchen sinks and men are financially providing for the house and for the female. Those days don't exist. Women need to have jobs. They need to protect themselves. They need to know that if the relationship was to fail, that they can still financially provide for themselves. And that's what it comes to. And I totally understand that men need to protect themselves too. It's not just about women. I do understand that. But just with this whole dynamic changing, it has put women in a situation where they are stepping up to the plate and they are a bit more, I won't say fussy, but a bit more, well, actually, let's just say they're not willing to settle. They're not willing to settle for things that just don't align with them. They're not willing to settle for things that just don't make them happy. And they're not willing to settle for situations or people or relationships or job opportunities or anything in life that they see is going to take them down a toxic path, or it's going to put some sort of negative light on their life, and they don't want that. And yes, men are doing that too, 100%. I'm not just saying it's just women. So that is the main reason why people are out there looking after themselves, because unfortunately, not all relationships last, and there is a higher divorce rate, a higher breakup rate. Relationships aren't lasting as long as what they used to. So people need to protect themselves when going into relationships and not just jumping into it and hoping for the best. They need to have an idea of what they want and what they're expecting and what they're looking for. So it gives them a better chance of allowing the right people into their world. Now, this doesn't mean that because you've got standards and you've got boundaries and you've got expectations, straight away you're going to meet the love of your life, or straight away you're going to meet or get that job that you're wanting, or all these amazing opportunities are going to happen. It's not necessarily going to work like that. I mean, knowing what you want does help, and it does definitely send you in the right direction, but it just filters out those people that aren't what you want. It filters out the time wasters and the energy suckers. You don't need them in your life. So that's why it's so important to know what you want. Don't just go into a relationship or to everyday life and say, I just want to be around people that trust me, that are loyal, that are honest. These are standard characteristics that we want in anybody that's part of our life. You don't want to have someone that's in your world that lies to you, and that's dishonest and that's disloyal. Nobody wants people like that. That's standard practice. It doesn't just apply to the dating world. So just saying you want someone that doesn't lie, that's honest and that's loyal, that's not enough when it comes to setting boundaries. You really need to know what you want. If you want to protect yourself or make sure you don't go down the path of just meeting the same type of people over and over again, then you've really got to take the time out to work out what is it you want. And that's how you go about setting boundaries and your standards. But in saying that, it's not as easy as just going to bed one night and just say, okay, I'm going to have a think about this tonight when I'm asleep, and by the morning it'll just come to me and I'll know what I want. No, it's a process. It's a process. You will take time to get to know yourself more. You will take time to figure out what you want. Take time to figure out what makes you happy, what lights you up, what do you enjoy doing. Those are things that you need to be doing to work out what you expect in a relationship and in your everyday life. And how do you go about doing that? The best way to do that is to take time out for yourself, whether it be take time out from the dating world, take time out from your job, maybe if you can take some annual leave, take time out from anything that's maybe causing you some frustration, causing you to be a little bit upset, causing you to be a little anxious. Anything that you feel is making you feel uncomfortable, is putting you in a place where you're feeling walked over and disrespected, then they've crossed your boundaries. Take a step back and figure out what can you do to change this situation. How can you put in place to somebody what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept? So let's refer to the dating world, because that is the biggest issue here as a single parent, isn't it? And so if you're in the dating world and you'll keep going through these same vicious cycles, the same repetitive dating pattern, there's a good chance that you're going into these relationships with the same stock standard expectations that everyone else has. I just want someone that's honest. I want someone that's loyal. I want someone that's kind. I want someone that makes me laugh. That's all good. But you need to stop and think about what you want. There's more to it than just finding someone that laughs, finding someone that's loyal. Anyone can say that. Yeah, I can make you laugh. Yeah, of course I'm honest. I don't lie. Of course, I'll always have your back. You know, it's easy to get into a relationship where you meet someone at the start and they will tell you everything you need to hear. They will tell you that they're honest. They will tell you that they're loyal. They will tell you they're funny. I can always make you laugh. But then when you've had a shit day at work and you come home and then all of a sudden they disappeared because they don't want to hear your sob story, well, they don't really have your back. That's not really being loyal and supportive, is it? So you really need to be clear on what your expectations are. And to do that, you need to take a break from the dating world. Step out of it. You can't work out what you want when you're in a relationship and just hoping for the best and just slowly figuring it out. Now, mind you, being in the dating world or going through it with your previous relationship or relationships is a good way to work out what you do want. Spending that time out of the dating world to reflect on your previous relationships. Have a look back on what went wrong. What happened to push that relationship to the point where it ended, where you guys broke up? And reflect on that. Look at that. Was it because they were going through your phone? So clearly they weren't very trustworthy. Was it because that they didn't like you having friends of the opposite sex? And again, that's a trust thing. Was it because that when they're with their mates, they're always talking about you and throwing you under the bus? That's pretty disrespectful, isn't it? So it's about just being clear and not willing to ignore the red flags and not willing to settle. And that's just it. When you have your boundaries and when you have your expectations of what you want, you learn not to settle. You come a priority. So when you can take time away from everything and you can focus on just you learn to put you as a priority. Because when you're going through that pattern of just dating, like that whole back-to-back dating, you're not doing what's best for you. You're jumping into the dating world because you think you need to be in a relationship, or because you just don't want to be lonely, or you just think, well, that one ended, so let's find someone else. I mean, that's all good and well, but what are you gaining from these past relationships? What are you changing in yourself or in the whole circumstances that can make that next relationship that little bit better? Or you're just going, oh, well, they were an idiot, so find another person, on to the next one. And just hoping that it wasn't anything wrong with you, it was something wrong with them. So let's just go on and find somebody else. Now, sometimes it is something to do with the other person, but there's a good chance that there's always something that we can do different in ourselves. Whether it be the way you respond, the way you react. Are you going to get angry? Are you going to ignore certain things that you see them doing? Maybe you're seeing them talk to other girls or guys or whatever it is, and you're just letting it slide because you like them and you just want that relationship to work. Are things happening that you're just ignoring? You're letting your boundaries be crossed. So when you learn to enjoy being alone, it's not as scary to be in a relationship with someone when it's not working, because you're like, what have I got to lose? I can risk being in a relationship where I'm miserable, or I can go back to being single and enjoy my time with my friends, enjoy my time with my kids, and the right person will come in at the right time. You learn not to just take on any person in your life for the wrong reasons, because you're quite happy being single. And that's the thing. You see so many people these days that whinge and moan, oh, another Saturday night, I'm home alone. Or, just complaining about things like this. Well, why are you home alone? Get out and meet some people. Get out and call your friends. Invite some friends over your house. Go for a drive, go watch a movie, go out and grab a drink. There are so many things that you can do. There is no reason to sit around and complain being lonely, because these are the people that will just go into the dating world and sit down and scroll on apps on Saturday nights because they've just complained about being lonely and hope that they can find someone to fill that void. And then more than likely, they will find someone who is also lonely, who needs to fill their void as well. So they just get together for all the wrong reasons. They haven't considered what they wanted and what they don't want. They're just like, we're both lonely, let's just make this work. I mean, you don't go into meeting someone and say that. But that's the underlying circumstance here. You're just filling your loneliness. You're not looking for someone that's going to make you happy. You're not looking for someone that's going to be supportive of you, that's going to be encouraging of you. You're just looking for someone that's going to feel that loneliness. But are they going to give you what you need? And that's what you need to work out from the get-go. You don't go, okay, I need someone to come into my life because I'm sick of lonely. You get that person and then you work out what you want. And then you just hope for the best that this person is going to be able to provide that. No, you work out what you want, then you go and meet somebody. Because you can't change another person. If you go meet someone for the fact that you're lonely and you start dating them and then you say, okay, this is what I want, this is this, but you don't actually say it like you're interviewing them, but you know in yourself what you want. and then all of a sudden you're seeing things that you don't like, are you just going to ignore it? Or are you going to try and change them? Because it's like, okay, well, we're together now, so we've got to make this work. So let's see if we can change this. It's not going to work like that. You can't change another person, because if that's how they are and that's how they react, then that's who they are. They're just going to have to find someone that's willing to accept them with those traits and with those, I don't know, would you call them qualities, with that personality. I mean, you can be at a place where you can compromise on what you want. You might meet someone and you might see things that you don't like. You can compromise and find ways to make it work. But you can't just say, okay, I don't like that, so you've got to change that. I don't like that, so you've got to change that. It's about knowing your self-worth. And that's the biggest thing in setting your boundaries, knowing your worth. Not just letting things slide because you just think, I'm not going to find someone better. Or I can't just keep being single because I'm just going to be lonely. Or this person has messaged me, so they must be the one. So I should message them back, and they've arranged to meet up, or they've spoken about going out on a date, so I should do that. You don't have to. Don't feel obliged to message everyone back just because they message you. Don't feel obliged to go out on every date because they're asking you out on a date and you just think, I'm not going to get anyone else, or this is probably the best I can do. Don't think to yourself like that. Don't go out on a date for all the wrong reasons. That is not having boundaries, and that is not having standards. Going into the dating world, you need to know what you want. And this is why it's so important to have that time to yourself. Learning to love your alone time gives you a chance to start doing things that you like doing, whether it's hobbies, whether it's a sport, activities, goals, holidays, anything. Start doing things that you like doing, even if it's just a weekly catch up with your friends that you haven't been able to do, and now you've just got back into a routine of doing it. That is something. You need to have things for you. So maybe your next boundary when you're going into a relationship is that they're respectful of the time that you have with your friends. Because you don't want to go into a relationship with someone that's like, well, sorry, I don't like you going out with them every week. I want you to spend more time with me. And then you feel guilty, and then you start cancelling on your friends, and then your friends start to turn away from you because you're constantly cancelling on them. And then you break up with this person, and then you've lost this partner, and then you've lost your friends. Don't do it. So that's one example of figuring out what you want in your time of being alone. Looking at what lights you up, what brings you joy. So you're not just going from relationship to relationship and you've got no goals. You've got nothing in life that you're wanting to achieve. You just work every day, well, not every day, 5 days a week or whatever it is. You come home, you do your parenting duties, and then maybe on the odd weekend, every second weekend, or how often you do your co-parenting, you get your free time to go out on a date. You've got nothing else in life that you're going for. Use this time whilst you're alone, or I shouldn't say alone, whilst you're single, to find out what lights you up. What do you really enjoy doing? And as I was just saying, maybe it is things like just going to the gym, going for a daily walk, going to yoga, going for a swim. Maybe those are things that you like doing. So when you meet someone, they might say, what are your hobbies? What do you like doing? Oh, I like going to the gym. I like doing yoga a couple of times a week. They know what your hobbies are. So you don't want to get into a relationship with someone. They're like, oh no, you go to the gym too much. You need to start spending time with me. Or maybe you should reschedule your gym workout so we can see each other at that time, and then you can go at a different time. And then that messes your schedule up. Knowing what you like, knowing what you enjoy doing is a good way to work out what your standards and boundaries are. And it's not just about working around your schedule. It's about not compromising your happiness for somebody else. That's the big thing here. You're not willing to suck things up and keep the peace just to make someone else happy. Meanwhile, inside you're miserable and you're not getting what you want out of this relationship. That's why it's so important to have boundaries. And learning to love your single life. It puts you in a place where you're not dating for the wrong reason. You're not dating just to fix that void of loneliness. You're dating because you want someone in your life that's going to add that extra bit of happiness, that's going to be supportive of your life. and you're going to do the same for them. You're not dating just because you're feeling alone, and you're not looking at any other aspects of their life. You're just like, they seem interested, let's go for it because I'm alone and I'm lonely on Saturday nights and I'm sick of watching Netflix. No. Using your time when you're single is the best way to regain your independence. And it also puts you in at a place where when you do start dating, you're not so needy on the other person. Because if you're not liking being single, you hate being alone, you hate sitting at home on Saturday nights because you're not willing to find anything different to do, then there's a good chance that when you do meet someone, you're going to be overly dependent on them because you're now relying on them to fix your loneliness. You need to fix your loneliness before you meet someone. And that's the important part of setting boundaries, knowing that you don't have to be dependent on someone, knowing that when you meet someone, they're not expecting you to call every 5 minutes and they're not expecting a text all the time to check in on you. It's okay if it takes a day or two to send a text message back when you're first meeting someone. You don't have to call them back straight away and they're not all panicky or worried because, oh my God, they haven't called me back. We're all adults. We have busy lives. We're parents. They're respectful of your schedule and respectful of your time. But when you're at a place where you're just dating someone because you're lonely, you're going to be constantly needing them to fill that void, to make you feel better. You need to have other things in your life to make you feel better. And this is your time when you're a single parent to find out what those things are if you don't already. Start exploring new activities. Start getting out and meeting new people. There are so many different groups on Facebook and places around where you can get out and meet new people. The options are endless. It's all about just thinking out of the square. So, going back to the topic of this episode, how do you set boundaries? Just know what you want. Know what you're willing to accept. And most importantly, know your self-worth. And it is so important to have that time as a single parent without being in that dating world. Step out of it. Enjoy that time with your kids. Take holidays with your kids. Go on little picnics. Do fun activities with them. Build that bond up with them. Make those beautiful memories with your kids and with friends and with family. So then you know when you meet someone, that's one of the boundaries and that's one thing that you're not willing to accept. Someone that's going to come in and change your schedule. You're not just at a place where you're lonely and desperate for someone that you're just going to drop everything just to be there for them. No, your boundaries are, your standards are, my friend time, my family time, and my kid time is very important to me. And that's something that I don't want to lose. And you want someone that's going to be respectful of that. And also looking back on those past relationships or relationship, whatever it is, look at what happened. Look at why the relationship went pear-shaped. What was it? And is there something that you could have done differently in that relationship that you can take forward to the next relationship? Is there something that you turned a blind eye to in that last relationship that you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, but I know that for the next relationship. I know when I do meet someone new, I'm not willing to accept that. If I see any signs of that happening, I'm out straight away because I'm not willing to negotiate on these things. I'm not willing to lower my standards or be walked all over again when I see these things happening again. Now, it could have also been something that you've seen in a partner in a previous relationship. Maybe they were very controlling of you. They were controlling of your finances. They were controlling of your friends, anything like that. And that's something that you know going forward into another relationship, that is something that you can put forward in yourself as a boundary of what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. So it's all comes down to knowing what you want. And again, it's not just saying, I want someone that's trustworthy, loyal, makes me laugh, and whatever else. You want more. You need to know exactly what you want. Look at those traits that your ex had. Look at the way you handled things in previous relationships. Maybe a big thing for you that you're looking for in your next relationship is someone that knows how to communicate. Maybe you've dated someone that just didn't talk about things. Something went wrong in the relationship and they just disappeared. You couldn't contact them. You were not able to talk about anything because they didn't like talking about their feelings and they didn't like talking about when things went wrong. So they just disappeared. And then when they'd calm down, they would magically return again, acting like nothing ever happened. So everything was just swept under the carpet. So maybe that's a big thing for you. You need someone that is able to communicate no matter what's happened. When something's gone bad in the relationship, you know you're meeting someone that can talk about things, not someone that's just going to run and hide because they're not happy and they don't like talking or discussing their feelings. So that's a good way to know how to set your boundaries and what you're looking for. Use those previous relationships to work out what you want. Use your time alone to work out what you enjoy doing, what lights you up, what makes you happy. Use that to work out what your boundaries are and what you're willing to accept. And most importantly, that time alone as a single parent, it really makes a huge impact on your independence. And when you're more independent, you're more confident in yourself, which is where you get your self-worth from. When you're more confident, your self-worth level goes up because you're not willing to just settle for crappy things that make you miserable. And that's what's so important when it comes to setting boundaries and having standards, having some sort of self-worth. So use the time when you're single to do things on your own, increase your independence and improve your confidence. Because it's quite common for someone to come out of a long-term relationship, whether it be a marriage or a long-term partner that you've been living with for a number of years, and you've just left that and you're feeling lost and alone and confused because you've been so dependent on the other person for all these years. And now here you are stuck on your own and you think, shit, I need another partner. I need someone to help me through this. You don't need anybody to help you through this. You need to get to a place in yourself where you're okay with being single. And you need to get to a place in yourself where you can love it. Love your independence. That's where the confidence comes from. And that's where your self-worth comes from. Knowing that, you know what? I am worth so much more. I'm not going to settle for someone that tells me to delete all of the opposite sex from my Facebook page. I'm not going to settle for someone who I see messaging other people of the opposite sex. I'm not going to settle for someone who speaks rudely of me about to other people or judges me on my weight or certain things or tells me what to wear. I'm not settling for that. Because if that's how they are, then I'm leaving them because I'm okay with being single. I'm not scared to be single. And that's a big thing in setting those boundaries, knowing that it's okay if that relationship ends because your world's not going to fall apart. You've got yourself all settled and your life is set up and you're at a place where you are happy and you are comfortable on your own. And if you see someone that's coming into your world and they're putting a negative impact and making you question yourself and making you question the relationship, that's not what you need. You need to set your standards. Nope, sorry, I'm not for this. This is not for me. Know your boundaries and know what you're willing to accept. So use this time while you're single parenting to work on you. Find your value. Find what lights you up. Find your goals, find your passion, start ticking off things on your bucket list because that's a good way to increase your confidence. Just doing things alone as a single parent, that's an amazing way to boost your confidence. Whether it's a holiday, that is a great way. I remember the first overseas holiday I took with just me and my daughter. It was scary as fuck because I was the only parent, like the only adult. It was just me and her. So I thought, if something goes wrong, it's all on me. And it kind of did at one point. I was sick. We were in Bali and I got a bit sick. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do in these situations? We're on holidays and you're the only adult and you get sick. So there's those things to think about. But at the end of it, it was just so I don't even know how to explain it, what the word is, but it was such a big confidence boost. And it just made me feel so independent. And I love that. I have been in many situations a long time ago where people in my life would say, you'd be nothing without me. You're not going to go anywhere in life. And you'd let that sink in. You'd start to believe it. And you just think, maybe they're right. They're not right. That's just their ego. They don't want you to do better without them. But you can and you will. So use your time as a single parent to do things that's going to increase your confidence. And when you know you can do things on your own, you don't get so dependent on other people to do it for you. Now, in saying that, don't use that as an excuse to not want to meet somebody, because that's not what I'm saying at all. And you do see a lot of comments around of, I don't want to sound judgy here, but I do see a lot of men saying that women don't want relationships anymore and they're just happy being single. Now, that is there is some truth behind that. I'm at a place where I absolutely love being single, but it doesn't mean that I don't want a partner. But at the end of the day, that's the end game for everyone. Everyone wants a partner. I don't care what anyone says. I'm happy being single. I don't ever want to date again. I'm not going on another dating app. I'm not talking to anyone else again. I'm done. Everyone wants to have a partner. Nobody wants to grow old with nobody in their life where they're doing it just them. Nobody wants that. Eventually your kids are going to grow up. They're going to move out. And then what? I mean, yeah, great. Keep continuing with your goals and stuff that you love doing. That's amazing. But we all need a companion in life. We all need someone. So we can all think that men don't want to date anymore. Men have given up. Women have given up. Nobody's given up. We're just looking at it from a different perspective. Everyone is just going into the dating world these days, protecting themselves. And that's what it's about. And you've got to protect yourselves. That's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But don't be triggered or don't be intimidated by people that are doing that, because you've got to. You can't just go into the dating world and just let it all out there and just not have any expectations and just hope that your world is not going to be impacted in any way. You've got to know what you want. You've got kids. You've got your own roof over your head. You've got your job. You've got everything else. That's your life. So you need to protect that. Those things are important to you. So that's the thing these days that people need to take into consideration when going in the dating world. People nowadays have so much more to lose. There's so many things that, taking people to court, suing for this, milking everything off the other person, trying to take them for every cent they can. Mind you, not everyone does that, but there are scenarios where that does happen. Which is why people are going into the dating world with these standards, with these expectations, with these boundaries. Which is why people are also taking a break from the dating world. No one has actually completely switched off. Doesn't matter what anyone says. Everyone is still open to the opportunity of meeting the love of their life. They are in some way, shape or form, even if they don't admit it. But to make sure you find that love of your life, you need to know what you want. You need to stop settling for just anyone. You need to find your self-worth and your confidence and your independence. You need to learn from all of these experiences what your boundaries are. You need to learn from everything that you've been through, from your past breakups, from your role as being a single parent, from your work situation, from your family situation, from everything else that happens in your life. Work out from that what you're willing to accept and what you're not. And that is how you work out your boundaries. It's not black and white for everybody. What one person wants doesn't necessarily mean it's what somebody else wants. It's what works for you. And then eventually you'll find someone that fits into your life nicely, that works around what you want, and you will do the same for them. You don't want to find someone that fits into your life, then you've got to change this, you've got to change that, you've got to change this to make it all fit in. That's not fitting in nicely. That's settling and changing everything to suit the other person, and that's overlooking your boundaries. So just remember, It's about knowing what you want and not settling for just anyone. And please, if you are single and you're not sure how to go about doing this, use your time now while you're not in a relationship to look at exactly what you want from somebody. Look at exactly what you need that's going to fulfill you in a relationship. Look at what went wrong in the past that you don't want in a partner in the future. And most importantly, look for someone that's not going to make you change anything about your world. Compromise is one thing, but coming in and changing everything or certain things to suit them when you're not comfortable doing that, that is settling and that is not sticking by your boundaries. So just remember, stick by what makes you happy. Stop being intimidated and triggered by people that have standards, and stop being intimidated and triggered by people that know what they want. That is a good thing. If you meet someone that really knows what they want, don't be like, oh shit, they're hard work, or that sounds like too much for me. Look at it and go, wow, okay. They know exactly what they want. They're not wasting anyone's time, and that is what I like. You don't need a time waster. Nobody wants anyone that's going to waste your time. It's about knowing what you want and not letting the wrong people into your life. So that's about it from me today. I hope you got something beneficial from this, and I hope it's helped you to figure out what exactly you want. And again, it's not just in a relationship. Learning to have your independence and your confidence will help you speak up in certain situations when you're at your job and your boss is making you stay half an hour later when you're not getting paid and you don't want to. And you can turn around and say, sorry, I can't do that tonight. I've got to get home to the kids. Instead of just saying, yeah, sure, and then letting the kids sort out themselves for that half an hour. No, you learn to speak up. You learn your self-worth. No, I'm not going to get walked all over. When your family expects you to do things all the time, they expect you to host special occasions and certain gatherings when you don't like doing it or you don't have the money to do it all the time. Maybe this can help you to speak up and say, I'd love to do it again, but unfortunately, I can't financially do it this year, so maybe so-and-so can do it, or maybe we just do our own thing this year. It's about learning your self-worth. That is how you have your boundary, by speaking up for yourself. And it's not about being rude, it's not about being high maintenance, it's not about being nasty or cruel. It's about you not getting walked over and you knowing your self-worth. And that's what's so important about having boundaries. Not letting anyone shit on your self-worth. All right, guys. So please start setting your boundaries if you haven't already. Start knowing what you want. Look into your past relationships. Look into your life. Look into all different areas of what hasn't gone right that you can use as a boundary for the future in all areas of your life. So thank you again. And if you're struggling to get through this, if you're struggling to work out how to do it still, you still don't know how to get to the next step, you still don't know how to sit down and reflect on these things, then let's have a chat. Let's work through this together. I've got all my contact details in the show notes below. You can contact me on my website, my email, my Instagram page, anywhere. So let's have a chat. Feel free to DM me. I've got a free discovery chat there if you want to get on board and see if we align. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you all got something from this, and feel free to share this with your single parent friends. And if you're loving it, please give me a review, put your comment, put your feedback, share it. It means the world to me as a podcaster and to my single parent family out there. So please share the love. And as I always say, until next time, I'll be in your ears then. Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.